Welcome to the NAC Education 2023 online program. This is Color Essentials. My name is Robert Kovacs, Director of Education, and I'll be your host. And I hope you've enjoyed me for the last two series. This series, Color Essentials, is quite an interesting one. It's quite a different one compared to maybe what you've seen before. It absolutely covers every fashion color that we have available here at NAC and throughout our whole NAC color collection. So quite an exciting one. I've got colors like metallics, I've got C Series X, Manic Panic, Color Mask, and then also to Gala. So there's a lot to cover in this module, and this will actually heighten your creativity and take it to the ultimate fashion level. As I mentioned before, there are 4 modules in the Essential program, and this happens to be Color Palette. Number 1 was NAC Soft. Our second module was NAC Permanent, and then the final one in the series is Blonde 360. So a really good comprehensive 4 modular program, gives you a really good insight to absolutely everything that there is to know about NAC color and how to get the maximum out of your coloring in the salon. So great if you're brand new to the range, and also too if you just want to hop on, hop off, depending on which of the essential modules that you'd like to cover. We have a module there for you. So let's get right into module 3. As I mentioned before, we're going to talk about the color families. We've got all of the fashion series that I will speak about. There's also C Series X, which is our Lipton deposit range. Color Brights, so a really good introduction. I'd say a bit of a soft introduction, actually, a very gentle way of intensifying shades, how to get the maximum out of each of these shades. Gala, opposite end. It's a triple reflect color. Triple dye load saturation, full on. We introduced the Gala shades just recently, and they've really rounded out our whole color collection. So when it comes to reds, violets, coppers, and mahoganies, there's definitely an amped up, a very strong version in the Gala range. Metallics, quite unique. We've got some great imagery that we just shot recently with our brand campaign, and they're perfect examples of exactly where metallics can be used. Manic Panic, so not a NAC product. We are the distributor for Manic Panic, I should say. So I'll go through what it's about, the Manic Panic shades. Color Mask, quite a unique product. This is a true semi-permanent. There's some really bright shades, pastel shades, and then to finish off with Structure Complex. So really utilizing Structure Complex to its maximum, supporting all of your coloring services. And the last module, which is all about Blonde, will focus down on Structure Complex and maybe selecting why this could be a great inclusion in your color formulas. So let's look at our color palette. There's lots on offer throughout the collection and throughout our color chart. So let's look into a bit of history. So considerations: color history, natural base level, existing shade, color buildup, condition of the hair, client expectation, time constraints, and more importantly, a complete toolbox. Now, what we mean by complete toolbox is to make sure that you have everything available. And this whole series, this module in itself really does showcase what we've got available to you at NAC. Everything from direct dyes to metallic dyes to triple saturated reflex with the Gala range. So there's really a lot on offer, and really understanding, well, what product do I have available to me, and also to what does what job, and adapting to current trends and product and knowledge. So product knowledge is really important as well, and that's what this whole essential series is all about. So let's get into color families. So in the whole color family collection that we do have, starting off with chestnut and mahogany. Now, I really like this family because it's probably the first step into fashion coloring that I would consider for your customers. And the reason I really want to highlight this particular, or these two families, because they do have some slightly different personalities. Now, when you do see me in salon, I always grab for these. So you have your chestnuts, which to me are like a golden brown. So a really mocha golden brown. We then move through to the mahoganies. Actually, I'm going to stick to gold mahogany because this is more like a violet golden brown. And then we move all the way into mahogany, which is more of your reds and your plums and your violets. So mahogany and chestnut, I would say, is a great introduction to fashion to your customers. You can warm them up by introducing like a chestnut. So I normally start off with a chestnut and just gauge their response. And they say, oh yeah, they're really nice. They're brown. So, well, they're actually a warm brown, but that's a good starting point. Moving into gold mahogany. And then if they're really keen, they're really receptive, they're moving all the way into the bright mahoganies. So probably the first step into fashion, a really good starting point. Now, I know for a lot of you, you're quite experienced and this is quite fundamental, quite essential. But for some of you that are watching, some of our guests online watching, you're just getting into color. So good family to start with. I always say if you pick something that's really vivid and strong, it's a bit hard to come back from that. And what I mean by that is you lose the confidence of the customer really quickly. If you pick, let's say, a gala shade that's a really like an 8666, which is a really bright shade, and she means a warm red, but she wasn't considering that, you know, that could actually, you know, have you having to rewind a little bit. So probably best to build up to some of these brighter shades instead of jumping right into them. This is why this is so important that we really understand, okay, well, what family, what collection does what, which one would I select according to what I'd like to achieve. Golds and coppers, so the golds and coppers within the range, very gentle, everything from very subtle golds to our coppers. These are combination coppers. And then we have the pure coppers within the range. Just excuse me, I'm kind of reaching over to grab it off the color chart so you can see the shades that I'm selecting. So kind of warmer shades, very on trend with, it's quite exciting because copper wasn't really popular and now it is. So we're moving into combinations of copper like antique, rose golds. These do have combinations of golds and reds and coppers. So really, you can really use combinations of these shades to create some really beautiful bespoke shades and also to some amazing toners when it comes to toning blonde hair. So definitely copper is back. And using combinations of copper is really, really quite popular. We then move to the reds and red violets. So really we've got lots of shades and lots of colors to offer. And we're moving now into some of the brighter shades. So you've got your doubles and your triples, red coppers and red violets, I should say. The red violets, a little bit more subtle, subdued. And then we're moving in more to the violets, which are quite strong. So you've got some stronger violets within the range. So really good foundation, essential starting point when it comes to selecting some fashion shades for your customers. And predominantly most of your coloring work will kind of remain in this collection of colors. So off the color chart, right-hand side, predominantly most of these shades are found, and you can select them according to what your client has shared with you. And then that way you can introduce and share the colors back with the actual tabs and show what the client likes and watch her reaction, see how she likes the shades, and that will help you select and formulate the color for your client. Violets, I forgot the violets as well, I do apologize. So I've actually shown you the swatches there. So some deeper violets, more intense. So notice the more letters or numbers will share the intensity. So you've got a triple layer, a triple violet that has that intensity. So moving into something that's a little bit different, this is known as C Series X, and this is a Lipton deposit. So there are only 4 shades. The tube itself is very, very different. It's quite a small tube. You are now going to mix this 1 to 2. So if I rewind, NAC Permanent is mixed 1 to 2. This is mixed 1 to 1, so equal parts. And the beauty about C Series X is that you can use it by itself. It's got a cool little tube. You can use it in with foiling to highlight hair, or you can intermix it with the NAC Permanent range, only the NAC Permanent range. We'll get right into actually how you can use C Series. There are 4 shades found within the actual selection. So there's only 4 shades. As I said, you can use these by themselves or intermix them. So that actually is redder than it is in real life. It's looking a bit pinky there. So we've got our copper. So all the beauty about these, all of the numbers line up. So 2000 violet, 3000 gold, 4000 copper, and 6000 is the red. So either by themselves or intermix, that's how you can actually utilize these. These will lift and deposit. So they will budge a little bit of artificial pigment, really good for clients with dark base levels. And if you're wanting to lift and also add color at the same time, perfect. Also remembering you can add booster into your formula as well. So remember, NAC Permanent, we do have our booster, and booster also helps lift and budge, which we speak about in our last module as well. So there's some options there, but a pretty much a simplistic, ready to mix lift and deposit shade that can be either used by itself or intermixed with any of the NAC Permanent range. Now, you can only intermix this with NAC Permanent, and once mixing this, it is an equal part mixture. So selected for lift and intense color deposit on natural hair, enhance color intensity and brightness. So it will lift and add lots of brightness. Things to consider: texture, porosity. If there's gray, you'll need to add some natural. So just make sure that you do that. Also too, is it natural or colored? Now, if it's colored, it will budge a little bit. I've got some slides to share with you. However, if it's really dark, like blue-black, it's not going to really do much at all. So just be mindful that you do, if there is a bit of artificial color, that it's a bit lighter. If there's a concern, do a strand test or remove the color, then you can use C-Series. So as I mentioned before, it's mixed equal parts. So you can see the formula there, 15 and 15. So we're using 15 grams of our 6, so quite a rich red, in with the 6,000. Processing time is 35 minutes to 45 minutes. Now, color balancing, you could use the 6,000 by itself, or we would recommend maybe a Gala shade to refresh, or even color mask. So just be mindful that C-Series alkalinity is a bit higher. This is what's giving you the lift and deposit, that if you repetitively do it on long hair, it can be a bit porous, so you could lose a bit of color. So just be mindful with that. But on your first or 2 applications, if your clients return to you, you could use the 6,000 or any of the CX out of the range on that client's hair. So regrowth, this is a good example. So before, she's had artificial color. It's more like a mahogany copper. So we've got our gold mahogany shade there that you can see. The regrowth, we added 6,000, 2,000, so 30 mils of 20 volume, process that for 35 minutes. And then on the ends, we've color balanced, of course, with porosity equalizer, 6,000, 2,000, and 20 volume. You can see it's really picked up, and that's a really true indication of what C-Series X can do. So it lifts and deposits, but it's really quite bright. The next slide I really like. This is really a beautiful shade. I'd say a Tide color, and normally we might do highlights or foils, but what we've done is just very creatively used our C4000, our double copper, so 744, 15 grams of just your traditional copper, and then we've used obviously a lot of peroxide, but there's a fair bit of color. We've put it on the regrowth, and then on the ends we've got our different mixtures. So we've got our double reflective copper, so 744, our 4,000. We've added some orange color bright into it. So again, you could change this. This is just a guide. Color bright into it. I would probably add some Gala. When we came out with this, the result that you can see is before Gala. Now, the reason I say Gala is Gala's a bit more even hypo in its color result. It's very, very intense. It's a double, triple reflect. So it's being double intensified. So very, very intensive with the Gala range. But it gives you an indication where this will lift and deposit in one go. So really a versatile color. You can see a beautiful result in our model down the bottom. So talking about color brights. So color brights, what is unique about color brights? Only 2 of the shades are found in soft, so the violet and the red. But normally with NAC Permanent, you can use these by themselves or intermix them with your color. So a little bit more of a traditional way of intensifying or making a color brighter would be Color Bright. The beauty, however, with NAC is that quite often you can use these by themselves so that you can use them solo. So an artistic collection of shade intensifiers, violet, blue, red, green, orange, and yellow, used solo or intermixed with NAC Permanent for intensive coloring. So it gives you a bit of versatility. If you are going to use them by themselves on pre-light and tear, 5 volume would be enough. 1 to 2 mixture, leave it on for 30 to 45 minutes according to how much intensity that you want. So you've got a bit of a guide there. So you've got your bright and your activator, and then intermixed with NAC permanent. So this is where I'd say this is fairly traditional. Most color brands will have a concentrate or a bright. We call it bright, but it is an intensifier or concentrate. You've got those shades available to you, cool and warm, and either used by themselves or added into your color. So we've got an average processing time, because the average processing time of NAC permanent is 35 minutes. But as I mentioned before, if you want a little bit more intense, you could leave it on longer or jump into a different color collection. The choices are yours. So I'd say fairly standard. This is fairly, kind of ground level brightness. We've spoken about the Fashion series, which is going to give you a little bit more. Our high lift, so our C Series X, now that's lifting and depositing. But now we're going to move into a range that's like full on. So relatively new in the NAC color collection. And where I love these shades is it kind of replaces almost everything because it's so bright. They're pure reflex. There's absolutely no depth, no base. Double diode, triple diode. So which means concentrated color pigment. So normal NAC color is fairly concentrated, but this is extremely concentrated. So as you can see, the shades almost look fluorescent. And really, if you use them by themselves, they really are quite intensive or intermixed with the rest of the NAC color range. You'll notice that they're also found in soft and permanent. There's a pink dot for the soft shades. And where this is a little bit more punchy is we really did listen to you. A lot of you offered us feedback to say that the violets are really on the darker level aren't intense enough, or we don't have enough. So you can see that with the Gala range that we've really introduced lots of deeper violets. And then also too, we wanted to bring out some reds that are really a bit over the top, that red, almost like traffic light red, which is the 8666. So really some really bright reds, the 7 and the 6. Light and violet, and then also to a pink. We know that you've fallen in love with pink, so still so popular. And I'll talk about that with metallics because that's where pink really comes into play. But with Gala itself, we say Tapestry is supercharged high frequency shades formulated with maximum dye concentration. So it's almost like a triple double a dye load. So it means that we've just pumped more pigment into the color tube to give you brighter results. You can see all of the families there. It's got a nice selection between some mahogany tones, violet tones, red tones, and then a pink. So a really good combination of different reflex to make it really quite rounded. So where maybe in the past we've had some gaps, this has fulfilled those gaps. And what you can see there is a perfect example of the result. And that's actually one of our educators on their model that they've actually done. So it's a client that they've done in the salon and they're showing the results. So you can see really intensive, really clear, like very vibrant pinks and violets throughout that whole color. So you can mix it in with NAC permanent. So this is just an example. And again, you can intermix this with any of the NAC permanent shades or NAC soft shades. So if you're in the soft family, within the soft range, in the permanent family, within the permanent range. So you can see processing time, 35 minutes to 45 minutes with NAC permanent, and then 25 minutes with NAC soft. And that's the average processing time for NAC soft. So it's great ways, great alternatives, good to have in that toolkit if you just really need super bright, supercharged colors. Use a little, use a lot. The color does itself. I will kind of share with you, a bit addictive. They kind of work so well. It's really been a wonderful collection to have within our color portfolio, our color collection, because it just kind of solves problems that you may have. So metallics, that's Nico. So he was one of our models at the campaign that we just shot recently. And Asian hair, you can imagine, really hard to get vibrant color results. We never had powder lightener on his scalp before, so that was a whole brand new experience. So we got him up to a 9 level because that's all he could take. He had never had lightener on his hair before. So you could imagine on a 9 level, normally in most cases, actually was a very gold 8-9 that we took him to, and we used combinations of metallic shade, and it was pretty much a pink. So it was the really true 7313. So that shade there. and we added a tiny bit of 616 into it just to kind of make sure that the pink remained pink. So it really does work well where you can't get the client white. Don't be scared. If it's a gold 9, metallics love some depth. So metallic dye technology, and as you can see even on that image, it's slightly colored differently. You notice deeper pinks, lighter pinks. That was just one even application. We used 7-vol and applied it 25 minutes, rinsed it off, and that's what we got. So a really good color result and multifaceted, multi-dimensional color result. This was our other model that we did. So that was a slightly different combination. We were going for that rosy gold pink shade to actually achieve that on our female model. Again, campaign look. So metallic dye technology, specialized color molecules offer long-lasting fashion effects created for you to luminize color artistry with precious metal Pantone color brilliance. So designed for creative, bold pops of color on pre-lightened hair. Now, metallics kind of sits between permanent and soft. So it's got a bit of ethanolamine, which is like soft. It's got a tiny bit of ammonia. You can't mix it with either family. It's a standalone color range. You can see all the colors that I have in front of me represent the range. So we have 14 metallic shades. So there's some blue shades there and some silvers. Actually, that's pretty amazing, used on even pre-lightened hair. So where you want to tone it, it's a great toner. Lots of pinks, and we've got some really coppery hues as well. So there's some golden citrus there. But if you want pink, this is the pink for you. I always kind of think of metallics and I think of pink, but it's predominantly pink, kind of like a mulberry, which is a pink. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of the 14 are a pink shade. There's 2 kind of like your coppery shades. We deliberately brought them out between your copper. And then you've got your more steely shades down the bottom. So really there's a good selection that can be intermixed with the same family. The only thing that you can add in with it is clear and soft to dilute it, and that's it. So please don't mix this in with permanent or soft. The reason why is because the dyes don't join together properly, so they don't work as well. So you're not going to get the color or the performance that you're expecting. But by themselves, amazing. So mixed 1 to 1.5, so it will be 20 grams of color to 30 mils of activator. Normally 7 volume. Pretty much 7 volume is what you'd use most of the time. 30 volume if the hair's a little bit more stronger or resistant. 30 volume works well. Application, just pre-cleanse the hair, towel dry really well. We use your porosity equalizer, so this guy here, to even it out. Apply the color, process for 25 minutes. A light cleanse, color fix and style as you decide. So when I say color fix, we always recommend color fix on all of our colors. That just locks the color in, so it works really well. So pre-lightning dye, this is where it's a little bit different. So normally you'll always, if you come along to one of our seminars or have if you watch any of our other onlines, when it talks to traditional toning, we always say 9, 10 level. Really, the target is 10. Where metallics does work on an 8 level. So if you're kind of caught out and you kind of can't get it as light as you want because you've either got hair that's compromised or just, for example, a male client that I spoke about, just the whole lightening experience was a bit much for him. And even though all of us have probably had powder lightener on our scalp, to him, it was, a brand new experience. And we really try to minimize that whole lightening experience, the tingling. So we rinsed it off. His scalp, of course, was fine. It's just that he'd never had lightener on. And we knew that we just needed to get him to an 8, 9 level, and we could actually use metallics really successfully. So let's get into Manic Panic. And I like this. It says live fast and dye your hair. This is a direct dye. So the way that Manic Panic works is that the molecules really penetrate the hair effectively. You've got some really vivid shades. I mean, it's pretty outrageous. Electric Banana. I mean, they're pretty crazy names. You've got some really... This has got a French name. I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. The beauty about Manic Panic is it's a direct dye, and what you see is what you get. So really bright yellow shades. By lightening and depositing this, you will get a fairly strong saturation of color. So vegan friendly, 14 cream shades, 17 amplified shades. There's some pastel shades as well. So there's a really good selection of different shades. Normally for that client wanting that bright blue, pink, orange, whatever, turquoise, they do work really well. Pre-lightening the hair, multi-application. So if you keep putting this on, it becomes more and more permanent. So a bit of a trick of getting this out is it's a bit challenging to get this particular color out. Booster would be our recommendation, or powder lightener with hot water. Not powder lightener and peroxide, powder lightener and water. If you put peroxide on this, it gets brighter. So it has the opposite effect to normal traditional color. One thing I would suggest is if the client commits to a color, it's not as if you can take this out that easily. So once it's in, it's in. So again, a bit of a lengthy conversation. Normally with this color range, our clients want durability. They want the color to last for as long as possible. So that's where this works really well. So Manic Panic, a great addition in the NAC color portfolio. It isn't a NAC product. We actually are, it's the only non-NAC branded product. So we distribute this. So this is why Manic Panic lives here in our collection. So color mask. So this is such an amazing product. So it's a conditioner with color in it. So it kind of looks like this. Where it's unique is that it's a semi-permanent. So we kind of forget that this is a semi-permanent color. And the beauty about this is that there's 4 pastel shades. So there's powder, there's sky, there's cloud, and there's also to dusk. So these are very subtle, very, very soft, very subtle. And then we have the bright shades. So there's carbon, there's gothic, purple. So it's pretty straightforward. Rouge, peach, magenta, cocoa, baby doll. Again, lots of pinks. Amethyst, candy, another pink. Flamingo, another pink. So there's lots of pinks in this range. We know that, again, it's remaining a very, very strong on-trend shade. So create vivid pops of color or sheer pastel tones. Choice is yours. You can feel it brights, or you've got the pastels. What's unique about this compared to our signature range, it's got everything that Signature's got in it, but it does have macadamia oil. So it makes it amazingly conditioning. A lot of colored conditioners can make the hair feel really dry. This will definitely not make the hair feel dry. Depending on how you put this on and how long you put it on for, depends on how long it lasts. So durability won't be a problem with this. If you want to be creative, what's really good is I see this a lot in salons. They tip a little bit out, they add some conditioner into it to dilute the reflect. It's up to you. So on a white piece of paper, what you see is what you get. So this is where it's really quite exciting with the range. So how to use it. So this is just wear gloves, especially with the brights, cleanse the hair, preferably with NAC shampoo, then condition. This is something that we do educate. You can condition if the hair is really porous, or use your prostate equalizer. That will just stop the color from grabbing. Obviously towel dry really well. For less intensity, 5 minutes. For full intensity, 25. Now you won't need to leave it on for 25 because it will never come out. So really kind of gives you an idea of how strong these are. They're quite amazing. Rinse with tepid water until water runs clear, condition, and then use your color fix if you choose to, depending on how you like to finish your service. So think of this as a very strong semi-permanent within the range. So you've got lots of bright shades as well as your pastels. So Structure Complex Bond Builder. We want to actually make sure that we're looking after the hair with a Structure Complex Bond Builder. We'll speak about this again in our next module, but I thought it would be really good to bring this up with this module. So prepare, rescue damaged hair. So it was invented by Swiss scientists, and the way that Structure Complex came about really was for hair extensions. So obviously hair extensions are lightened because quite often they come from different ethnic backgrounds. They're pre-lightened and colored, and the hair is quite compromised. So there's a lot of damage that happens there. So they invented a bond builder to help that process, and then realized, wow, we should be using this on all hair, lightening and coloring. And what it gives the ability to do is restore the disulfide bond that's broken. So the bond that you break, you can then repair and add back in with your Structure Complex. There's a 1 and a 2, and then there's a number 3. So the 1 is the liquid. This is the bond builder. This is the kicker that does all the work. So this one here. The 2 shields what you've done. And then you've got either in salon or take home product, which really is designed quite often with bond building because it's a very strong and active protein that rebuilds the hair. It's actually replacing the disulfide bond that's broken, which is a natural bond. And quite often that bond itself, that protein, can feel quite strong in the hair. So if the client wants more of a moisturized feel, the number 3 is perfect to actually do in salon or for the client to take home and do it themselves. There's a shampoo and conditioner. I've got a slide on that a little bit later on so you know what the shampoo, and that's found in the signature range. So a shampoo and conditioner that the client can then take home. So really with this, the rule is 10%. So for every 20 grams of NAC color, because predominantly our whole color range is 20 grams, add 2 mils of your structure complex number 1. So if it's NAC permanent, NAC soft, gala, powder lightener, whatever it is, it will be 10%. And across the board, all of our mixtures, except for grey coverage, which is 30, everything is 20. So it's going to be 20 grams of something. So add your 2 mils of your structure complex number 1 into your formula. Combine, so basically combine NAC color or lightening product with NAC activator and mix as normal. Then add your bond builder number 1 into it. Then add your bond builder number 1 into it. Very important. If you add it all together, you could slow the process, but not really. But really, to get the best result, mix the color, make sure that it activates, then add your bond builder. Now you're going to add 2 mils of your number 1, so that's what the formula has down there, into your color mixture. Process your color, your lightener as you normally would, rinse thoroughly, and then apply the number 2, the shield. This is like a really, and what's quite beautiful about this whole structure complex range, it has a really uplifting citrus sweet sort of fragrance. So it's really, when you put this on, clients go, wow, that smells amazing. What is that? It's your structure complex. The shampoo, the cleanse, and the conditioner has this as well. So leave this on for 5 to 15 minutes. If this don't apply heat, but you can use a hot towel just to make it a little bit more comfortable. Some of you do a bit of a massage, put the towel on, just to kind of infuse it. Rinse thoroughly, and then with your preferred NAC treatment. So it's up to you what you'd like to do. So condition if you need to, and then you could use Color Fix, but really Bond Builder structure complex is the ultimate in rebuilding hair. This is a standalone treatment. So this is something that you could consider if the hair is quite compromised. So this is really good for where the hair is very, very damaged. And you need the ultimate reconstructing treatment. So what you're going to do there, cleanse the hair, towel dry it really well, and you mix your 1 and your 2 together. So you mix these 2 together, and then massage that through the hair. Place under heat for 10 to 15 minutes, rinse, and then use your number 2 to finish with. So I'll repeat that, 1 and 2 together, so 10 and 15. Pre-cleansed hair, apply it, massage. You could use a hot towel there definitely for 15. Wrap it, rinse it out thoroughly, and then put your number 2 on, the one with the pump. Leave that on for 5 minutes, rinse that out, style as desired, and you're done. That's the ultimate rebuilder. So that's really good for where the hair's really quite compromised, quite damaged. It's going to add lots of those bonds back into the hair. You could do that repetitively as a standalone, or before you're doing maybe a service that's, you know, the hair is going to be a bit compromised. You want to build the hair up. So you might put the client on a bit of a program and then decide to do that full-on color correction a month later. So something to consider with Structure Complex. Take-home products, so shampoo, conditioner, and then your number 3, which I mentioned before, so that maintains the results. So beautiful, that beautiful fragrance as well. So in review, we've kind of covered a lot, lots of bright colors. This is a really fun module because it's very creative, it's very fashion-oriented, and there's lots on offer, lots of choices for you to select when it comes to brightness, lightness, intensity, color saturation, and multi-dimensional color results. So definitely consider all of the range. You've got your C Series X, you've got your brights, you've got your metallics, you've got your gala, you've got your color mask, you've got your manic panic. There's definitely a shade there for you when it comes to creating the most beautiful and bold color results. So well done, Color Essentials. Make sure that you do complete the quiz on this module. Obviously, this is our third in the lineup of our 4 modular program. The last module is all about blondes. So I would encourage you to go on and have a look at that module. I'll again be the host, so you'll see me again. And I look forward to seeing you at all of our and one of our online programs. It's been my pleasure to host this session for you.